Throughout history, there has been a pattern of discovery and colonization. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ancient civilizations and their conquerors. Our focus today is on our own Western Hemisphere, the continents of North and South America. Many of us may be familiar with the acronym MIA, which signifies Missing in Action. Today, we will look at this acronym in a different way. MIA will stand for Maya, Inca, and Aztec, 3 empires that at one time were prevalent cultures in Central and South America, but have since disappeared. In order to understand the pattern, we must first understand who these people were, where they lived, and what happened to them. The first group we will talk about are the Mayans. Their civilization lasted between 2500 BC and 1500 AD, but the civilization really thrived between the years of 250 to 900 AD, with the population reaching nearly 2 million people. This particular civilization was located in Central America, including southern Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. The Mayans were incredibly intelligent for their time. They had highly accurate calendars that they created using tools associated with astronomy and mathematics. Their religion was extremely complex with sacrifices, festivals, and several deities. They built elaborate temples and pyramids, many of which can still be seen today. The disappearance and downfall of the Mayans is one of the world's greatest mysteries. No one knows for sure what happened to this people. The Incas began settling in the valley of Cusco in the Andes Mountains of central Peru around the year 12,000 AD. Between 1440 and 1500 AD, they expanded their empire to Bolivia and Ecuador until it extended nearly 2,500 miles from north to south and included as many as 16 million people. The lands they occupied included mountains, coastal desert, and low-lying jungles. The Incas' central government at Cusco maintained a strong military and passed laws to create official customs and language and even a calendar. The Incas engineered nearly 14,000 miles of roads, including tunnels and bridges. They built even great fortresses. They also developed highly advanced terracing and irrigation methods that allowed them to farm the difficult mountain terrain. The Incas had a very established agricultural system that they based their lives off of, growing their own food. They also had great cities that were built using many different materials, including gold and silver. The Incas also developed what might be understood as the first postal system. They had a system where runners would deliver messages to other parts of the empire. A message sometimes would travel up to 150 miles a day. In an empire that stretched nearly 2,500 miles, this was an important part of maintaining communication. A message could go from one end of the empire to the other in barely a week's time, something unheard of in the ancient world. In 1533, Pizarro led the Spanish into Peru and conquered most of the Inca Empire by 1542. A few years later, in the 1570s, the empire had collapsed completely. After the fall of the Inca Empire, many aspects of the culture were systematically destroyed, including their sophisticated farming system. The effects of smallpox on the Inca Empire were even more devastating than the Spanish conquest. Within a few years, smallpox claimed between 60 and 94% of the Inca population. Our last group is the Aztecs, who lived in the area of central Mexico in the beginning of the 13th century until 1521 AD when they were conquered. It is believed that the Aztecs were at one time a nomadic people who traveled with the seasons. However, in the early 13th century, their legend states that they were given a sign to build a capital city that would stand forever. It is said that they would travel south until they found an eagle perched on a cactus with a serpent in its beak. They were in a swampy land when they first saw the sign they were looking for, and on that spot they built the principal city of Tenochtitlan. The Aztecs lived off the land, growing many different crops, such as corn, beans, squash, potatoes, tomatoes, and avocados. They hunted the abundant game of the area, including rabbits, coyotes, armadillos, and turkeys, and even snakes. Many people think only of the great warrior tradition of the Aztecs, but they also had a very sophisticated social system in their capital, which allowed them to thrive. The Aztec Empire ruled over 5 to 6 million people at one time by conquest or commerce. The principal city of Tenochtitlan was once the most densely populated area of Mesoamerica, being the home of more than 140,000 Aztecs. In March of 1519, Cortez landed at the town of Tabasco, where he learned from the natives of the great Aztec civilization, then ruled by Montezuma II. In November of 1519, Hernan Cortez and his men arrived in Tenochtitlan, where Moctezuma and his people greeted them as honored guests, according to Aztec custom, partially due to Cortez's physical resemblance to the light-skinned god of the Aztecs named Quetzalcoatl, whose return was prophesied in their own legends. Through the Aztecs, Though the Aztecs had superior numbers, their weapons were inferior, and Cortez was immediately able to take Moctezuma and his entourage of lords hostage, gaining control of the city of Tenochtitlan. In all, some 240,000 people were believed to have died in the city's conquest, which effectively ended the Aztec civilization. After his victory, Cortez demolished the city of Tenochtitlan and built Mexico City on its ruins. The Aztec influence can be found today in common words we hear often at the supermarket. The language which the Aztecs spoke, Nahuatl, has given us many words both in Spanish and English, including chocolate, avocado, chili, coyote, peyote, and guacamole. Perhaps the greatest Aztec influence is seen today in the middle of the Mexican flag, where we find a depiction of an eagle perched on a cactus with a serpent in its beak, a great symbol of those that came before us on this great land, and those who are in a way still MIA.